Hello YouTube, welcome to my kitchen, but it's not what you're thinking. I will not be cooking for you today. Instead, we are going to discuss my magnets. I get so many comments and questions about all of these, and it's simply the only thing that I collect when traveling. I am not a big souvenir girl. I just don't shop in general while I'm on trips. The only thing that I purchase are magnets. And so these are all of the magnets that I have collected over the years from all the places that I've been. What's funny to me is like one of the biggest misconceptions, like I've always loved traveling. I grew up traveling, like I'm very fortunate that my parents always took us on trips, whether it would be flying somewhere or we even had a camper, we would go out camping and stuff. So I've always been super into like new experiences and going to new places, but I did not start international travel. I went to the Caribbean once ever for my birthday in 2019, I believe. I did not leave the country again until 2022. And yeah, I would travel all the time, but it was mainly road trips. Every now and then I would like fly somewhere within the US, but international travel did not really start to happen until the summer of 2022. And between then and now, I have visited over 50 countries. I stopped counting once I reached 50. So I don't know, if I had to ballpark, I would say 56 countries. So yeah, that's a lot of magnets, and I thought it would be fun to share my two least favorite travels and my two favorites. It is much harder to think of my favorites than it is my least favorites. I know right off the top of my head the two places that I would never visit again, so I'm going to share those stories with you. Okay, any guesses before I start talking? And I do apologize if anyone watching this video is from either of these places. It's not personal. But first up, Bali. Indonesia is the worst place I've ever been in my entire life. I cannot stress it enough that no one should visit there. I hated it. Like, I've never felt so trapped in my life, and I think that's one of the biggest things is I truly felt trapped there. I hated everything. Like, even the moment I touched down and went through customs, I already hated it. I knew like, oh, I should not have come here. And it's the worst place I've ever been. Do not listen to influencers. They're like, this, it's so amazing, it's so cheap, it's so... That's not worth it. It being cheap isn't worth it. It's filthy. I knew going into it because I do my research. I just didn't realize just how bad it was gonna be until I got there. I went April 2024. Awful, just awful. Like, let me paint you a picture of what it's like. You'll be driving to go visit the most beautiful temple, and that's the thing is they do have gorgeous areas. They have these beautiful temples and landmarks and everything. And you're like, oh, I'm that girl who's like, oh my gosh, cows. And it's just cows laying in trash. It's disgusting. I booked a dolphin tour. First of all, my villa was gorgeous. I will say it was gorgeous, and it's insanely affordable. And it came with a personal driver, a chef, a maid, so much stuff. And sure, it's cheap as heck, but like, I'm on the beach. I couldn't even go on walks on the beach because there's just trash everywhere. There's trash in the ocean, outside of the ocean. And so I booked this dolphin tour and be like, I love boats. I love being on water. I love dolphins. Worst experience ever because, you're going through the ocean and you're like, oh, is that a dolphin? Nope, just a bag of trash. Oh, is that a dolphin? Nope, another bag of trash. Like, I understand it, and I don't blame the people because it's their government fault. People don't realize it's a third world country and they didn't have a trash system for an incredibly long time. They just now started implementing a system for trash, but before people just literally threw their trash into the ocean or just threw it outside. It is going to take hundreds of years to fix that. There's so much trash, and it wasn't taken seriously until recently. So it's just a filthy, dirty place. Like, that in itself, to me, wasn't worth it. Because it's like, sure, you have to drive 2 hours of staring at trash to go to this beautiful temple, and then you're at the temple for an hour maybe, or you're on this hike where you see these beautiful waterfalls, and as soon as you leave that area, it's just filthy. And that is something I didn't like. It made me really uncomfortable. No, at least me, I don't want to see animals laying in a field covered in trash. I don't want to pay to see that. I'm not going to sit on a plane for 18 hours to see that. I don't want to ever again. And then on top of it, the people are so overwhelming. And I get that, like, the workers are trained to be that way. It is not the place for me. I am not that girl. I do not want to go somewhere and have someone hassling me and trying to hustle me every 2 seconds. I went to this restaurant, this beautiful restaurant on the beach. Like, you're in the sand, like your table is there, and like the water's touching your feet, and oh, that's so beautiful. And I have to add that I went here alone. So I was completely by myself, which is normal for me. I love solo traveling because I like doing my own thing and I don't like being bothered. And so I'm at this beautiful restaurant and I went there for sunset. I couldn't even enjoy it because every 2 minutes, I'm not joking, a different worker comes up to you and they all say the same thing. Like, it's so programmed, it's like robotic. And then it's kind of funny because sometimes you could tell, like, they'd forget a line. So then they'd stop and they would restart over from the beginning and say the line that they missed. And I'd be like, I'm polite. I'm not like a rude person, but I'm also not the most talkative. I would say I'm polite, but I'm not friendly, if that makes sense. So I will say, no, thank you, I'm fine. I just want to eat, but I'm not going to sit here and smile at you and create a whole conversation and pretend like you're going to get more out of me. I'm just not that person. So I think it was a big personality clash. Like, there are people who love being approached and they will sit there and chat with you for 20 minutes. I'm not that girl. And so every time someone would come up to me, asking me and saying the same thing that was just said to me 2 minutes ago, I was overwhelmed, where I don't think I never really finish my meals. I just don't eat that much, but I ate less than I even would have because I just wanted to get out of there, because it was just, one, the service was really, really slow in this particular like incident, where before the food even came, it's like a good 45 minutes. So imagine every 2 minutes someone coming up to you and you haven't even received your food yet. I was like, get me out of here. And then on top of it, at least in my experience, I have spoke to other friends who have gone and it was the same, but I think because I was alone, it was just that much more like insufferable because there's no one else to like absorb any of this. So I booked this beautiful villa and I had this pool. So like my pool was here and then there's like this walkway leading to the beach. Well, I wasn't gonna go to the beach because it's covered in trash. So perfect, I can hang out at my pool. And I am a sunrise girly. I love waking up to watch the sunrise. And so I get up early, the sun's just starting to come out. I go in my pool, boom, like 4 people. They stand outside of your villas trying to sell you stuff. And even when you're like, no, thank you, I'm not interested, they stand there and wait. I've never experienced that in any country I had ever been. And by this point, I had probably visited about 30 countries. I had never experienced anything like that, where like I can't even swim in my pool in peace because there's people approaching you while you're on your property, standing outside of your gate. And I remember one time I was like, no, thank you. Like, I just want to swim. Please leave me alone. Like, politely, like, come on, back off a little bit. It's 7 a.m. And they were like, oh, it's okay. We'll just wait till you're ready, and stood out there. As I'm trying to swim, I couldn't even be comfortable swimming. So I ended up leaving that villa after a couple of days, and I booked a place about like 2 hours away at a resort. And even that, like, I couldn't enjoy it because I like to just like go places. I like to walk around. Of course, I like to see some touristy things, but I also just like walking around. I couldn't even comfortably like walk around. I would wake up to like go on my walk. I love to get my 10 to 20,000 steps a day. I couldn't. everywhere you walk, people are approaching you. I tried going to an art museum. This woman stood literally like at my shoulder the whole time, trying to sell me every single art piece in the museum, where I ended up leaving early. I didn't even finish looking in the museum because I was like, I can't handle this. Like, it was the most stressful place. The last 2 days of my trip, I flat out did not leave. I ordered room service and that's it. I couldn't. It was the most overwhelming experience ever. Like, it is, to me, I don't think it's like a bad place. It is a personality clash, especially because 2 weeks prior I was in Japan, where no one bothers you. Japan is like that perfect place where you can just walk and no one looks at you, no one tries to sell you anything, no one is up in your face. Even if you go to a restaurant, you sit down, they ask what you want, they bring your food, they leave you alone. And so to go from that perfect, experience to going somewhere where someone is in your face constantly, to me, it was too much. I was like, get me out of here. I will say it is gorgeous. Like, the areas that you go to are beautiful. The waterfalls, stunning. My particular Airbnb with the services were incredible, and they were very good at picking up on rating where they didn't overwhelm me. So there it was fine. Everywhere outside of that it was just too much for me. I'm convinced people like Bali because they like living like kings. You do essentially have people like serving you. You wake up and they immediately, what would you like for breakfast? I'm not that girl though. I even said like, oh, you like, I remember one time, I think she had made me lunch or something, and I picked my stuff up and I started washing and doing the dishes, and she was like, no. And I was like, no, go sit down. Like, I don't, like, not to be rude, but I don't need that. I'm not that girl that needs somebody catering to them 24/7. I think that's insane. So I think a lot of people like that because they're like, oh my gosh, I get a chef and a this and a that, and I can get a massage every single day. And I'm not that girl. I don't want to do that. I travel alone because I like being alone. So it's just not for me. And the other place that I hated for similar reasons is Turkey. I was not a fan of Turkey. Turkey was slightly better. It was cleaner. The people were nicer. It was less overwhelming in a different regard. So Bali was like, everywhere you went and sat down or tried to walk to, you had somebody literally in your ear, in your face. It was just too much. Turkey was like that, but not as aggressive. It was like, let's say you're going on a walk and you're passing by like shops or restaurants, you have people trying to pull you into the restaurants and trying to convince you. Like, I remember my first night there, I was like, oh my God, what is happening? Because I was walking, trying to find, a place to eat, and I start almost walking into one place, and then you hear the owner, no, don't eat there, come eat here, our food is better, it's cheaper, and so you're like, oh my goodness, like, can I just choose for myself? Can you, I am such like I do things on my own, and I don't need someone telling me come into my restaurant. So it was just too much for me. Even like, shops, like you're trying to walk to a shop and, oh, come into my shop. Or if they see you leaving a shop, they're like, ooh, come into mine now. And I'm just back up a little bit, for me, it's just, like I said, it's a personality clash. I do not have the personality for that. I am not the most socially outgoing person. I don't like engaging with strangers. It makes me really uncomfortable. So those are just places that are not for me. I will say I had a better time. I ended up actually making 2 friends there. I met these 2 girls from Scotland because they got dragged into one of the restaurants like I did, where, oh, come, my food is better. And so I was like, you know what, you just gotta throw your hands up sometimes. And I was like, all right, let's see what you got. And so I was sitting there eating, and then these 2 girls, they're like, oh, he's gotten us 3 days in a row. We've been here every day, and we ended up becoming friends and like hanging out. And so that was a lot of fun. There's also a lot of cats. You know, I'm a big cat girl, and so I loved walking around and seeing so many cats. And I will say I felt safe. It's never like I felt unsafe. Like I went there by myself. I would walk around. I think one of the days I stayed out walking around till like 1 a.m. I never felt unsafe. It's just overwhelming to have people trying to pull on you and like, come here, come into my store. I'm just not that person. I get very like standoffish where I'm like, whoa, back up a little bit. You know, it's just, I'm a lot more cautious. And so I don't like that. I don't like that experience. But I will say it was 10 times better than my experience in Indonesia. And I did make some friends. But similar thing where my last day, where I like had time to like actually go out and do stuff, I booked a tour. I ended up skipping it because I realized I would have to walk by this one particular street that I'd already gone by twice. I messed up because I didn't realize, because it was like they offered pickup. I thought they were picking me up directly from my hotel. And then that morning when I read it, I was like, oh no, I actually have to walk like 20 minutes for the pickup area. And I opted out because I knew I would have to walk by the street where it was very overwhelming, where it wasn't just like one or two person trying to like get you to come into their store or restaurant. It's like 20, 30. And I was like, I don't have the energy to put myself through that. And so I ended up just spending that last day in my hotel, not being bothered. And then so to me, that's kind of like a fail of an experience, because I'm like, you never want to travel somewhere and feel trapped. Like, oh no, if I go out, it's going to be such an overwhelming experience that I just would rather stay in my hotel. Now I just wasted time and money. And so from there, I actually left and went to Cyprus. And then Cyprus, amazing, because you go on I walked every day from the time I woke up to the time I go to sleep, and never once did anybody bother me. And so anytime I have like a really crazy experience, at least I'm like refreshed, where it's like, okay, it's not like that in most places. So those two places I would personally never visit again, unfortunately. I'm sorry if you live there or you're from there and you love it. It's just not for me. I love places like Japan and China, and this is gonna lead me to my favorite place of all time that I have ever visited. Any guesses? Okay, my favorite place I have ever visited that I wish I could go back every single month is Qatar. Oh my gosh, I don't even know where to begin. I loved Qatar. I also went there by myself. So I'm saying this as a solo female traveler who looks like this, by the way. It's the safest I've ever felt in my entire life. It's the cleanest. I know that there are areas that are like more like poor and like, you know, there are people who still live in like the huts and all of that stuff. But I didn't personally see any of that. It was just spotless, gorgeous, beautiful, high tech. I mean, even so there they have falcons, and if you have the most beautiful one, there's like contests, you can win like $1 million. And even the falcons they keep are just so gorgeous, and they built these facilities where they keep them, and they have all these windows so you can see all of like the contestants and the winners of these falcons, and it's right next to this gosh, what am I blanking on words? Pet hospital, vet. And you walk in and it's like a museum. It's just so gorgeous, and like they have it right there so that like if anything were to go wrong or one were to get sick, it's immediately taken care of. The camels, the horses, everything about it is just so gorgeous. And then on top of it, it's just safe. Like, I spoke to a woman who was actually from the US, and she went and traveled there, ended up extending her stay, came back to the States, was miserable, moved back, and had now been living there for like 8 years, because she's like, I've never felt so safe as a woman. And I'm like, I totally get it. And I'm not disregarding, I know that it's not perfect. There are still some people who participate in like honor killings and things like that. So obviously bad things can still happen, but bad things happen everywhere. And here it's just, you're particularly protected in the regards of even certain hotels, not all of them now, because you know more tourists are coming, and obviously like the Western beliefs are a lot different, but hotels are separated by men and women, and the women's side, the windows are protected where you, when you're walking by, no one can see coming in, so men cannot see you. Even if I went to a restaurant, a man could not, my own waiter cannot approach me unless I call them over. I would walk, and one day I went walking out to like 3 a.m, and there's like construction workers. I had never experienced this before, but I walked past, not a single man looked, hollered, hooted, nothing. Like no cat calling. Not one time had I been catcalled. Not one time had anybody made a comment towards me or looked me up and down or nothing. It was just like, wow, I'm just existing, and I'm not just like eye candy for you to think about and later. Like it was just amazing. There are so many cats. There were so many cats, and like the cats would just come up and I would just be feeding the cats, and it was just beautiful. And they love nature and they love animals, and so even they built these towers where pigeons could fly into to cool off. There's air conditioning in these towers, and then there's food. You're walking, you have to keep in mind that this is the wealthiest country in the entire world. You're walking, it's hot there, and most people are covered head to toe. So you're walking down the street. Not only does it smell insanely good because they have scent going as you're walking, they also have air conditioning in the ground. So as you're walking, you feel a cool breeze. Are you kidding me? What? The malls are amazing. I didn't shop, you know, I don't like to shop while traveling, but I went through just to see because it was recommended to me. They're like, you have to see the malls here because they're insane. I felt too poor to even walk through the malls. Like, it's the most beautiful malls, most beautiful restaurants, just incredible. And then what I also thought was cool, I know a lot of people feel unsafe, like, you know, when you land somewhere and like everyone have, like, you know, the police are there with their machine guns and stuff. To me, I feel safe when I see that. But not only that, I stayed at a very nice hotel. Before you can even walk into the hotel, they have you have to go through a metal detector. And I remember telling my mom this, and she was like, that would be terrifying. I'm like, Mom, that's the safest I've ever felt in my life. Are you kidding me? Like, knowing that every person that comes to this hotel has to be screened like that. Why isn't every place doing this? Like, do you know how many mass shootings would not happen if to even enter your hotel, you had to go through a metal detector? I felt so safe. It was just incredible. I could talk about Qatar all day long. I cannot wait to the day I go back. I tell everyone, I'm like, please go to Qatar. I'm in love with it. Like, I didn't want to leave. I did not want to leave at all. And now I'm going to try to think of my second favorite. This is going to take me a second because there's so many amazing places that I've been. I definitely believe that China and Japan are up there, but I like them all for like similar reasons. Qatar just blows them out of the water. China blows everyone out of the water, like technology wise. But Qatar just as a whole was, I also felt like at peace there, if that makes sense. Like, as soon as I landed, like even before I landed and you're going over the sea and like you see how beautiful the water is, it was just so serene. It was like, like the air was different. I don't know, like I loved it. I'm obsessed with Qatar. So let me think of what the other one would be. Oh, it's so hard. Okay, any guesses? My second favorite, no one saw that. My second favorite will have to be Nicaragua. Oh my goodness. Okay, so Nicaragua was one of the first countries that I visited by myself, and incredible. It has everything. It has waterfalls, animals, volcanoes, incredible food. Not a lot of Americans go there, and so there's not a lot of English speaking people. What I loved about it is, one, where I stayed, amazing, but I booked one tour my first day of arriving, and I ended up just hiring this company to be my tour guide for the whole week. And they almost charged next to nothing. I tipped very well because I was like, wait, to drive me here, there, back, forth, this, that for that much is insane. And some of the places they took me were like 3 hours away. They would literally wait in the car, bring me back another 3 hours. It was crazy. Like, the most kind people ever. I get it's a dictatorship. Again, I'm not trying to like discredit. Like, I think before I went, there was even this horrible thing that happened where, you know, students had tried to protest and they all got right outside of a college. So like, obviously there are horrific things that happen there, but unfortunately, like, as long as you're not going against the government, nothing bad really happens. I felt very safe. Here I didn't go out walking past dark all that often. I think I did twice ever, but simply I was just so exhausted from all the stuff I did all day long that by the time I was home, I was passed out, because I would be up like 4 a.m, going somewhere 2 hours away, spending the whole day like hiking waterfalls and volcanoes. I went volcano boarding. Insane. Will never do it again. I'm so glad that I did it, but it was the most terrifying thing I've ever done in my life. You literally have to hike with all this heavy equipment for like 3 hours up a volcano, and then you have your board and you go down, and it is steep. It is like, and it's hot, so you're wearing all this gear to protect. And there was a point where I fell and I kind of froze because you're looking down and it's literally like this, and they're screaming. They're like, you have to get up, you have to get up, because it's literally burning me. Oh my goodness. And I it's so embarrassing, but someone had to run up and help me get up because I physically froze and I couldn't get up. I was so scared, and they had to literally get me up on this board and help me go down, because I was like, scariest thing I've ever done in my life, but so glad that I did it. There's like over 300 little islands, and you can visit some of them, and like there's just wild monkeys and you feed them, and it is the coolest place. Like, it is just, Nicaragua has my heart. Like, after leaving there, I was like so invested in like, I should buy it, because like a lot of people are buying up these little islands and then building houses on them and then renting them out for like Airbnbs and stuff. And I'm like, I could literally buy one of these islands for like $200,000. Like, this is so crazy. You can have your own little island. So yeah, Nicaragua was so cool. It was so fun. I loved the people. The whole experience was just, that is a place that I have wanted to go back for a really long time. I haven't done it. I don't think I would want to go back alone again. Not like anything happened, but I've already experienced it alone, so I want to experience it with someone else to see if they love it just as much. One of my friends is from Nicaragua, and so I'm like, girl, let's go. It's a lot harder. She works like a regular 9 to 5, so to get that amount of time off, because like you kind of want to be there for a while. I think that's one of the reasons I want to go back, is 1 week actually wasn't enough. I should have been there for like 2 weeks realistically, but Nicaragua just, it has it all. Like, it's gorgeous. It's so gorgeous, super affordable. Like, I have no real complaints about Nicaragua other than me not being there right now. So yeah, so I hope you learned a thing or two. Hold on. Now I'm gonna look like a liar. Nicaragua is the only place that I have ever gotten something beyond a magnet. That is how much I love Nicaragua. I don't know why I didn't do that for Qatar, but I'm telling you, I fell in love with Nicaragua, where I even let a woman talk me into buying this. That's how incredible, like that. This is the power of not being in someone's face and trying to hustle them every 2 minutes. You get this girl who only collects magnets to actually buy something. And I love painting. So for it to be a canvas with, you know, a little painting, I was like, you know what? Yeah. So, yeah, it's kind of funny. But yeah, I hope you learned a little bit about me and my travels. And if you have any place that you recommend for me to go, more than likely I've probably been there, but maybe there's a chance I haven't, and I'll add it to my list. I don't have a list anymore. I stopped keeping track of the places I go. I used to have this goal, like, oh, I'm gonna do 10 countries every year. But one year I went to like 20. And I've definitely slowed down on traveling. This year so far, I have gone to the Bahamas in January. For my birthday, I went to Dominican Republic. And then this summer, I did Austria, Slovakia, and Italy. And then I have Belgium coming up, and that's all I have planned. I have no plans to like travel anywhere. I'm tired from traveling. It's like, after a while, every place, especially in Europe, every place starts to kind of look and feel the same, unfortunately. For me, unless it has like a vastly different culture, like Slovakia was really cool. Yeah, they have so many castles. That was a really, really cool experience. I did love Austria. Austria is gorgeous, but Austria kind of reminded me of like Serbia in a way, you know, so it wasn't like too different where, you know, if you were to compare like Austria to Nicaragua, those are so different. So I'd rather go somewhere where it's like, wow, this is so different than any place I've ever been, which for me would be like the Maldives. I would love to go to the Maldives. It's so expensive. It's somewhere that I don't want to go by myself simply because I want someone to split the cost with me. So I haven't gotten there yet. And it's a really long flight. So you have to like mentally prepare for being on a plane that long and then losing like 4 days of your life from being on a plane. So yeah, let me know what you think. Subscribe, come on some adventures with me. Yeah.